Hey everybody, Ting here. Just have my good friend Tak Lo. I know him from the original WeWork. You started your Zeroth.AI
That's
as
correct.
an incubator, and I've known him as like kind of the guy on AI. So I brought you on to maybe just talk a little bit about yourself, and then also talk about some key AI vocabulary in the future.
I think we ended up talking more about martial arts than human intelligence, I guess.
Okay, and a little bit about MMA. Yeah. So here we go.
We're one of the leading investors in AI machine learning companies. We've invested in 60 companies now. We have a fantastic team of partners who have founded or built AI companies themselves. And we want to invest in the future. That's essentially what we do. We want to invest in technology and companies that will be relevant in the next 50, 60 years. And so whenever we think about different trends or different thoughts, we work backwards based off of where we think content generation will come from, and we invest in that. Winston Churchill has this quote, right? If you want to look in the future, you should look further in the past. And so I think that was one of the reasons why I wanted to read more history. And what I've realized is history does give you a blueprint because things just happen. Things happen in cycles. They're just faster cycles, but it still happens in cycles. That's one. The other thing is there are constraints to what can happen. And not to say there are no black swan events. Obviously there are black swan events, but for a large part, certain events transpire because there are certain constraints to lead them there. And so I read a lot of history to extrapolate what our particular thesis going forward in the future, because that's my day job. My day job is to invest in the future, right? So at Zeroth, we invest in AI companies. We've invested in 60 companies now, and one of them are deepfakes. And it's not like we were particularly geniuses to say, hey, deepfakes is the thing, but what we realize is there are certain patterns that seem to kind of move towards that bit. So deepfakes, for the audience out there, are basically GAN-generated content, whether it's voice or video, that look lifelike and appear lifelike, but in fact they're not. They're generated by general adversarial networks. And so we've invested in two or three actually companies in the last cohort. It can actually be positive or negative. And so negative in the sense with a deep trace is basically detecting fake videos, Trump videos, or whatever it may be, right? Politician videos. And that's great. That's great because I think there are definitely things that we're looking at in the next US political election, but even the Indian election that we just just finished today. I think there are how people consume content and whether the content is news or fake news, I think matters. It can also be used positively, right? In this sense of climate change generation, scenario generation. We have one company actually, DeepSync, focusing on voice generation. And what voice generation is interesting is because oftentimes when you're making films, you're making music, actually finding actors, or not finding voice actors sometimes can be difficult, right? Finding good singers is actually very difficult. And so one way to do it, that's why the Korean studios are actually quite interested in this technology, is instead of doing massive human searches, you can basically just generate voice, right? And generate the next new hit.
Wow, so it's not really one artist, but like a team of engineers pretty much?
Yeah, exactly. Engineers to optimize for the next hit. So in terms of music, right? I don't know if you saw, there was one New York Times article where the still most popular songs, right? It's usually 4/4 time, and then there's certain chords that they usually hit, right? And then there's a kind of rise, and then a fall, and then you have kind of a melody and rise and fall.
Yeah, you could play like a lot of hit songs,
right? And they sound
the same chord structure.
That's right, exactly, right? And it sounds relatively so from just a song composition perspective, right? That's already there. So then you just layer on the voice, right? Who cares about the lyrics? lyrics, right? Lyrics you could generate off, because I was thinking about Wonderwall, Champagne Supernova, right?
I grew up on that song.
I figured, right? Right?
have the CD.
Right? Yeah. What's it called?
Don't quote me. I'm not like the biggest music person.
Oh, okay, fair
but
enough.
that was something
Yes, I figured. Yeah. Right. That was a big
Yeah.
hit when we were on. And I do that every so often. I go back to old stuff and I try to listen to it with new ears. And if you ask, there's Noel or Liam Gallagher, right? He was saying the lyrics are just a bunch of bollocks. It's just a bunch of shit. It's rolling down the hall faster than a cannonball, right? Where were you when we were getting high, right? So he said, and then the hall stuff, he was just saying, I was just high and just thinking about it. Where were you when we were getting high? That's like, that's just a Mancunian thing that they say. Where were you when you were getting high, right? So, and he just threw about a lot of shit in there, and he was just making fun of people trying to interpret his lyrics, and it's like, there's nothing there. Right? There's absolutely nothing there. So if you say the lyrics are random, or can be random, the music is generated by a certain chord structure, and then you throw a voice in there, there you go. It can all be relatively generated by AI, the next hit. And if you take a look at actually Ed Sheeran, most of his songs are very well made because I think he really understands that dynamic, right? You need a heavy downbeat. You have to have a catchy tune.
Yeah, and these, I think, that's more and more with creative. We see why things are starting to look a lot the same.
100%.
You have these.
100%.
They have, historical data, not prehistorical.
Right.
Historical data that says, okay, this works. This style works.
Right.
And then this artist has the certain qualities that we're interested in. And then
that's why the franchise model for movies.
Yeah.
We know what worked. We knew these characters were. Where there's a Harvard book, right, saying like you never make money on the first one. You always make on the sequel or the what's the third film? Is there a word for?
I don't know, but I know what you mean. But
Right. The third or fourth series or the spin-outs.
Yeah, and obviously, like as a collection, it just makes economical sense because you're not remarketing something.
Right. But originality in the world of AI. So I see the world being much more standardized, right? So music, content, film, books, work, everything is becoming optimized, and that's a great thing. But if we were to survive, and we want to survive, and we want our kids to survive and thrive in this new world, it's the people that understand that the world is this, and then being able to create original thought, right? It starts with original thought.
Yeah.
Then original like content and whatever. But being able to piece together different things and piece together as many different, varying different themes of things into original thought, because that's really what originality is. And then being able to express it, I think that's the key of a strong thinker in the next century. And that's why I do spend a lot of time actually thinking about originality. So when I read, I really want to make sure that I read original stuff. So I read stuff that I try to read stuff that nobody else reads. Because I do think if you read the stuff that everybody else reads, well, then you're clearly not original.
And that stuff is probably recommended by some Amazon
algorithm
or something like that.
Right.
And I think there was a Wired magazine article talking about like why a certain book that was like very let's just say, like rose to the top so fast because it just
everybody else.
And they can manipulate those algorithms as well.
Right.
So you got to be careful about what you just get recommended nowadays.
100%. And then but it doesn't stop there, right? So earlier we were just chatting. I was just saying I'm really fascinated with what everybody else does, right? Because that's another way for me to get original thinking. Because the more I know about acting, it's not like I'll be an actor, but I can connect that with something else that I know. But it also goes to this. I was just talking to my wife. Like even wine. I don't know do you drink wine? Do you like wine? Yeah, you like wine? If you go to the supermarket, most of the wine that you drink from the supermarket, they all kind of taste the same, right? Because it's engineered to be similar, right? It's not too good, it's not so bad. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's really important to actually buy good wine to again have originality in terms of taste, right? And so I don't know, I think it's all facets of life of being original, not just one.
Are you saying that like let's say with the voice thing, will it kind of eliminate artists even, like eliminate jobs in that?
I think shit artists, right? So the stuff that if you're not an original thinker,
Yeah.
right? I don't mean to demean anybody, but you know, if you're on the distribution curve, right? If you're in the middle,
Yeah.
right? If you're average, then AI can do that better, right?
Yeah.
And that's fair, and that's a fair assumption, right? It's
Yeah.
the whole point of AI is to be able to structure and replicate something. And so if you're average, AI will probably take your job. Or it should. And if it doesn't, it should.
Or even if you're really good, if you can't like write your own music, then
Right.
Because you just gave me this picture of
Right.
this robot in a lounge,
Right.
like playing Adele, like or singing Adele.
Yeah, no, it could.
Like,
yeah.
And maybe even manipulating the voice, but still singing.
Oh, 100%.
Adele.
I mean, they've generated, an algorithm has, I think, generated Beethoven or Mozart's music already, right? So something even as, or what we humans think as complex, right, as Beethoven and Mozart, they basically, it was, I think, Beethoven, Mozart, and they had composers come in and say, which one's Mozart, which one's original, right? And they couldn't tell the difference. So something as, if you think symphony perspective complex, they can't even tell. And so to address your question, right? I think the key then is don't be average. I think that's, you know, I'm past the AI fear the robot type of thing. This allows us to empower ourselves. Be original, right? Be original. It frees us up to be more original, to be more creative, right? Now, if you don't take the opportunity to, well, then AI should take your job, right? Because you didn't understand that in this world, you know, you have to be even more creative or more original.
Do you think that, like, will it be able to replicate mistakes, for example?
I do think so, because you basically have to. Well, it depends on what you optimize for, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to, you say optimize for, like your 10-year-old kid doing a standard test, right? Then I think it'll replicate that and actually be able to generate mistakes. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Adele robot, right?
Yeah.
Adele has pitch perfect to some degree. Like I think when, again, I'm not a true musician, but sometimes she's a flat, sometimes she's a little sharp. And I think if I were to program something like her, I would make sure that sometimes she's slant, sometimes she's sharp, in the same lanes that she normally is, right, when she's singing, to make it seem more human, like Adele.
Yeah, I mean, well, that kind of, now even from music, like extrapolating to movies, will actors be kind of like just replaced by, you know, because I think, well,
you were saying, like, there's a lot, I mean, Jar Jar Binks is a character, right?
Yeah. Well, and that was just, well, what I was saying was that George Lucas was highly interested in Jar Jar Binks, not from obviously a creative standpoint, but more like the technological standpoint of doing an actual like animated character and infusing him with like real life people, and will you buy that and stuff? And obviously, I think because it had a lot of problems with it, it just wasn't as believable and other reasons, but like.
But that's that's where the line is going, right?
Yeah, and that was his vision, which I thought was quite interesting. Even though we give him such a hard time for Jar Jar Binks, but he has, as a visionary, he has other things like ILM and Skywalker Sound that he's building as well, and that all kind of plays into this big master plan. It's not just.
So I think it's really the reason why I think like this is because if I am not correct, then at least I'm still original. I said there's upside. If I am correct, there is still upside, but in the sense, maybe not as much, but I'd still survive, and I think my way of thinking passes on to my kids, who will live the future, right? I'm not one of those that says, well, I want to be chronologically or cryogenically stored, and I'll come back in 50 years. I think I have a life cycle, and I'm okay with that life cycle. So I think it's good. Or you upload my consciousness, right, onto this supercomputer.
Replicate.
Right. I don't ever want physical form anymore. I've lived one life. I think that's pretty okay. I think that I'm not a religious person, but this human form, this human coil, deserves to only be around for once. Yeah, but I do think if you, again, it's kind of like amazing if you work backwards. The only way to solve a maze is work backwards. And so if I have a very strong view of what's going to be in the future and work backwards, I think I have a better opportunity, better shot to helping achieve that future.
Right.
I mean, this goes even to martial arts, right? I mean, I don't just do martial arts. I do like Bagua, which is like,
Yeah.
you know, like even more esoteric and like, so, you know, there are three internal martial arts in Chinese martial arts, right? There's Tai Chi, Xingyi, and Bagua. Those are the three main ones, right? And then the Tai Chi
In Chinese?
Chinese martial arts.
Chinese martial, okay.
So Tai Chi, even Tai Chi, there's like 6 different variants. But even that I don't do. I mean, I did them before, but I'm doing the two, the Xingyi and the Bagua, that most people don't know. And so this goes along. Not only do I want, you know, to beat up people, but it's also the originality theme, which is, hey, it's funny. One of my colleagues like videotaped me the other day. He's like, "Oh, my boss is doing the most Asian thing possible." He's showing it to his colleagues, which I thought was kind of funny because, I guess it is. But right now, nobody does it, right?
To be of Asian descent and doing martial arts, yeah, it's considered stereotypical, but then I think you taking it to that degree is quite different.
It's very
because most Asians, like, yeah, they're interested. Maybe
They're
they
interested.
watch like Bruce Lee movies, but then knowing the intricacies of like where it came from and
Right.
then sort of the style. Tell me about
It's
the
more
style.
subtle.
Tell
Yeah.
me the two styles. Or
Yeah.
is it like
Yeah.
also as
that's
slow
okay.
as Tai Chi, or is it
It's
like,
pretty slow. Yeah, it's pretty slow.
And is there application? Or you're not going to really.
No, I was like,
Move around.
I'm about to stand up. No, so it's stylistically, it's so out of whack because in the sense like everyone does, like in Hong Kong, everyone does Wing Chun, right? So in Hong Kong, it's weird because everyone in Hong Kong does Wing Chun or Hong Gar, right? Southern styles.
Know them both.
Oh, okay, cool.
No,
Awesome.
I mean, of them both.
Oh, right.
I
Okay,
studied
okay.
Hong Kong in college, though.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
oh, that's
good
cool.
friend of mine.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
all right. So so in Hong Kong they do that or Choi Lei Folk, and so that you have Choi Lei Fat. Sorry. So that's more that. So that's different. And then contextually, it's also like time-wise, right? Right now it's MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? Not really Asian style. So it is a bit out of whack. So the thing with Bagua and Xingyi is basically it's exploring the right mechanical structures. So a high-level view is it just explores the right mechanical structure, and that's why they call it internal. And so if you look at Xingyi, Bagua, and Tai Chi as a progression, probably Xingyi is the most simple, and then Bagua, and then Tai Chi. And the difference is in Xingyi, there's only 5 fists. Right, and you start off with the stance, and you basically just hold. You're supposed to hold the stance like this, and then your left foot is in front, your right leg is behind, and you're supposed to be there for 30, 40 minutes. Okay, and it's not supposed to be a low horse stance. Just relax. But what you're really trying to do, and then everybody else does very similar versions of that. So Bagua, you might just do this. Tai Chi might also do this for a little bit. The whole idea is, during that time, you observe your muscles. And you're in this constant cycle of just relax, just relax, just relax. And so you're letting your structural tendons and structural muscles hold your skeletal structure up, not any other muscle. And so the whole point is just relax and keep on relaxing, keeping relaxing all the overt muscles down so that what's really holding you up are just your basic human structure, aligning everything right. And that's basically it. And so from there, afterwards, once you have that, and so it's a lifelong process. You could keep on doing this forever to relax. And then after that, the whole point is once you're super relaxed and you're using your structural skeleton to move, is to be able to translate that movement in a fist, or in Bagua circles, right? Or Tai Chi, right? Which is kind of circles, but in the body. And so that's basically all that is. And so the 3 different arts, the reason why I said the order Xingyi, Bagua, Xingyi is simple. Once you go from here, the stance, there's only 5 fists, right? It's 1 fist here, 1 fist here, 1 fist here, 1 fist here, 1 fist, 1 fist. And so you do those 5 fists, and then you just link the 5 fists. But the whole idea is super relaxed, go through the fist. But when you explode, you really put everything to it. Sorry. Oh, that's good.
It's meant to be linear, like Wing Chun is like, very direct and
so Xing
short
is more,
distances.
So stylistically and philosophically, they're different. So Xing is mostly linear, and so I'll overwhelm you with force, right? I'm just going to go through you. Bagua is saying, I'm going to circle around you. And so everything is about circles. So the whole exercise is walking in a circle. And then you kind of do a palm change, and you walk the other side. Right? So you go, palm change this way, you walk around the circle this way, and then you do a palm change, and you go this way, you walk the other way. And so the Xingyi is saying, my center goes through you. Bagua is saying, my center will go around you, right? And I'll move my center around you.
So you're kind of like learning both sides.
You learn,
Two different styles of attacking and defending.
And so philosophically is different, and attacking defense is different. And Tai Chi is basically saying, I have no center. I can make a center yours. I can make the center mine. You might not see a center. You might not feel the center. The center can be anywhere.
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah. So philosophically is also very interesting and deep as well.
Perhaps to understand Tai Chi, and you have to maybe it would be good to know those two as well. Do you think that
normally?
That plays into...
Yeah. So normally that is kind of if I were to do a curriculum, that would be the way I would set it, because it is, if you do Tai Chi right from the start, it's super tough. So I did Tai Chi when I was like 15, 16. I didn't get it. Now I get it more because I've done the other stuff more. But Tai Chi is like the real Tai Chi. It's like, it's deep. It's tough. There's no center. There is no center.
You brought up with my granduncle was a Tai Chi master, as I mentioned to you earlier, and then he made, like, the first thing he did was like sit in a horse stance. And I'm like, what is that? And it was for a long time too. Right. So I'm like, okay, and then I was just like this kid, like just sitting there like this, like So
it's hard for young kids, like for my kids, right? I'll probably say don't. She does Taekwondo. It's like just maybe do more stuff like that, because at that age it's about coordination. Left foot, right? Just try it out. Try punching something, trying to get some power, and then when you do these internal arts, it's about getting optimal power. Right? And the reason why I got to that thesis, I was thinking about this the other day, is as an Asian kid, I was like, I will never get the power that a white dude will have. It's just different. Body mass is different.
Well, I mean, just even, in your size.
And size, right? Yeah, it's body mechanics, body mass. And so I have to pursue different power generation techniques than what...
Someone who's maybe heavier and...
That's right. And
taller or something.
And the only way I found that was through Chinese martial arts. Yes, I'm generating power in a very different way. It's more of a snap. It's more of a whole body power coming up, using mobilizing the tendons more and fascia more. But it's the only way for me to generate the same amount of power that a bigger guy or girl would be able to generate, right?
So like Thai boxing, for example, is that something that is?
Yeah. There's no way I could generate the same amount of power. I mean, Thai boxing is, it's great techniques. So in the Army, they taught us, right, BJJ. I've done some boxing as well. I'm okay, right? I'm competent enough, but it was always this pursuit of power that...
because if you went up against somebody who's not in your higher weight class and taller, and you just go Thai boxing, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, and it's just like, and it's like, in a real fight, there is no weight class, right?
Yeah.
Right? There's no way, sorry, exactly. I'm not going to fight. I'm, only, 130 pounds, but you're 160. So, and then I also, with Chinese martial arts, then you get even more meta, which is, after a certain point, techniques don't even matter, because then you can generate power wherever it may be, right? And so it's like, say, for example, Tai Chi, when you're doing, let's say, this waving cloud type of thing. It's just a way to get the optimal structure and understand where power is. But the whole idea is to be meta. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to execute this move. It's whatever the situation dictates. I'm going to put power there. Whether I'm going to do this, or maybe I'll go a little bit higher or a little bit lower. I now understand my body enough right? So when I'm like this, my ankles have to move, my knees have to move. I'm just crunched down a little bit. My shoulders have to come out a little bit. But if I have to go a little bit higher, I also feel the same thing. Like my body aligns correctly because I know with the structure, one has to move, right?
Yeah, and then you can at least, you can chain things together.
Exactly.
I was, because I was studying boxing a bit, and I think I finally understand the jab after all these years.
It's hard, yeah.
Which is
timing is hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, I realized that that it's really the setup for the right cross, you know. So instead of doing, I was like doing a lot of this more of like a back fist. But I realized that my jab should be
a linking thing to the cross.
Yeah, so it should. That's why you expand your chest like this. So
right.
Took me many years to figure that out.
but that's something simple as a jab, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's why we stand. We stand. And why do you so there's even standing is complex. We can go into this, right? So you can stand. So the first step is just, you know, relaxing everything, right? So it's just, okay, oh, that's kind of tight. Oh, I just kind of imagine that there's nothing else. Right? I'm just going to relax. Okay, all right. Well, that's kind of tense. Oh, shit, I'll relax that. Then this is the next point, which is then you move, but you don't move. So you basically say, there's something, let's say I imagine something pushing me here. So if I'm going to react, I'm not going to move though, but if I were to react, how would I move? And so you imagine you imagine everything just before you move, and then you start. Okay, if I need to push back, I have to kind of turn my waist a little bit, turn my waist. This hits the shoulder, my shoulder hits this arm, right? Or maybe if they super specifically push this spot. So if they push this spot and the force is here, then I have to move this a little bit. So then, but it's not just the upper body. How does my lower body get coordinated to counter this move? So that's what you're trying to search for. Every direction, your body is already primed to figure out how you counteract that force. Because in your mind, you're already imagining and lining up all those vectors in your body to counteract that force. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
I mean, your footwork is just as important, if not more important, you know. So in coordinating that together. Yeah.
Whole body power so that, and I'm actually in my practice now, I've also realized starting to feel my ankles and actually where that power is coming from. And the heels of my foot, oh shit, when I'm here, if the force is coming this way, it's actually the right thing. The whole body should be coordinated, even all the way to my toes, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean the force you generate just from Thai boxing, you want to be on the balls of your feet and really just twisting to generate the most force.
That's right, and you're supposed to feel it as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming together. Right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean in your trunk too. Like lately, I've been actually doing like a lot of weighted trunk exercise just to improve my like speed and power, like core stuff.
Right.
It's all interconnected.
I would honestly just recommend just standing like this. I'll send you the link.
Well, I like the idea about the relaxation because I think if you things like Thai boxing and a lot of these more kind of like fast martial arts, they're very tense. They're very tense, and really I think like that's how you get tired. Like if you look at Conor McGregor, he gets tired all the time.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, if you stay looser, then you would have more endurance.
And it's more power. It's more snap.
Yeah.
It's more snap because you're a lot looser. You're more like a whip. You're super loose until you're in the moment of hit, you contact, and everything's lined up in tens.
Is this your 1-inch punch? Is this your 1-inch punch?
Well, no, that's one of my punches. Yeah.
I kind of got a little too excited there.
No. It's you kind of you I don't know. It's feeling so. It's Chinese martial arts. What I like about it is that it's this whole progression that looks super simple. What I don't like about it is the vocabulary is very fluffy, but it's actually very profound, and you have to just look into it a lot more with the different lens.
I mean, I love that your ability to, because I'm sure a lot of this stuff is not translated either, into English. And finding the information there, and then kind of like also bring it into all the other stuff that you know is sort of like.
But that's kind of what I guess. Yeah, that's why I like martial arts.
It's your deep learning.
This is the deep learning algorithm here.
The real deal intelligence right here.
I live how I do things. And
how do you? So your kind of pursuit of knowledge, how even in something like MMA, how does that how do they do it to bring it back to AI? How do they bring it to that the deep learning there? To me it's I think. Or like a layman just thinking about, oh, well, someone programs that. But what's the
secret sauce? Ish.
Sure, yeah.
There's actually really no secret sauce. The problem with actually a lot of this AI is it's still a black box. If you ask, Google Brain, if you ask with, was it the Go, right, the Go match, if you ask how did you do it, actually the programs can't even tell you. We set a structure. This program competed with it with itself, AlphaGo. We don't know how it made decisions. We just know that it made. Now you could logically say, well, they played 10,000 million matches against itself, right? At some point, it'll learn what to optimize for. But if you really peel it back, there's no. It's too. I wouldn't say it's too complex. It's just not simulations, but it's just many trial and error. Classic AI examples is if you tell this thing to, you would train. What was it? The example was if you train something to optimize. Let's say this program to optimize for making paper clips, right? Something as innocuous, optimize make paper clips. It's a monster robot. It might kill the entire Earth. In order to harness the materials and keep on harnessing steel or whatever you use paper clips or whatever resources you use to make paper clips with, and it'll just it might even kill humans, right? Because at some point there's just not enough raw materials. Now you didn't program it to kill humans, but it optimizes the function so well that it inadvertently kills everything in pursuit of that. So, I guess one of the reasons why we're so passionate about AI is. It's the unexplored in the sense, where could this go to? We don't know. And so the best way to figure it out is be able to work with entrepreneurs and founders who really are passionate about this space and defining the space so that we have a grasp of how it's going to go and try to steer it for something that's good.
Where do you think it'll be in 5 years?
So I think the current thing about level 5 driving is I think 2030 is the next level, the next car, or when the level 5 car is fully autonomous car is supposed to come in the market. I think so the reason why I use that as an example is that's really when it's tangible, right? When you really literally see it. But it's already being implemented, right? It's being implemented in SaaS software. It's being implemented in facial recognition there, right?
Yeah.
And it's only going to continue, and it should continue.